And welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Weekly Show, a podcast brought to you by the Livingston Parish News. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. And today we have our final coach and also technically a supervisor in the athletic department at Denham Springs High School. I'm going to let him introduce himself real quick. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, good morning. I appreciate you having me on. Brett Beard, head football coach AD at Denham Springs High School.
And you are the last in the series for the coaches. We'll be talking to the school board members next week about a bond issuance. Well, first it's a millage renewal. So there's some things that had to fall into place, right?
Absolutely.
And so the first part is, the first part, what may have happened out of order, was Northside Baptist Church agreed to sell that property to you guys for the softball complex. Yep. Coming after that is a millage renewal that'll be on the ballot April 24th. Early voting starts April 10th. From that point, you'll go out, issue a bond. And I know y'all have had a lot of back and forth about the plans, which we'll get to in a second. Because first we want to talk to you about being an AD, being a supervisor, and, a mindset that you're trying to bring to Denham Springs, which I think is important. You and I both discussed this morning before we started an interesting piece of feedback you got from the community. So roll into it.
Yeah, I took this job because I've always been intrigued from the outside looking in. Denham Springs has always been fascinating to me. Especially being in this parish now, I've always wanted to be here. It is a big time job, and I think it's traditionally or historically one of the best. And I want to get back to those glory days. But how we do that is, there's a mindset that we have to change. And of course, there was a post, with all due respect to by one of our elected officials, that I think is a mindset that we want to overcome. And I think it's best for our community, it's best for our school, it's best for everybody to get through the mindset of just being adequate or just good enough. I think we've got to get beyond that. I think it's time to get bigger. I think it's time to think bigger. Using the analogy of a $20 pair of shoes to an $80 pair of Nikes. Well, I guess you do pay for a name, or you do pay for, how about the length of the shoes last? There is something to be said for buying a pair of Nikes at $80. And if I told you your child in 5, 10, 15 years was going to have foot issues or ankle issues or knee issues because you decided to go with a cheaper pair of shoes, would you make that investment of $60 and get her or him the Nikes that they wanted, by maybe having to not buy a cup of coffee at Starbucks a couple of days a week or something like that? But the word adequate is something we're not going to use around Denham Springs High School. The old, one thing I like fighting is the old, this is how we've always done it mentality. Well, you know what? I love that. I love how we've always done it, but we're in a growth mindset.
Right.
In a championship mindset, you've got to grow and adapt to times, and you got to adapt to people, and you got to adapt to kids. And, I think everybody knows I was at Live Oak before, and I loved Live Oak. I loved everything we did at Live Oak. I love what we built at Live Oak. And I used to tell them all the time, Denham Springs didn't come down to where once Live Oak was, or maybe even Walker was. Walker and Live Oak elevated.
Sure.
We became the standard, and then they reset the bar, and we became adequate or just good enough, with our facilities and everything else. But we got an amazing parish, and we got an amazing city at Denham Springs. People are moving here and going to look at other places because, bells and whistles, whether we like to talk about it or not. If you have a young child and you're moving to this parish and you go look at Denham, you go look at Live Oak, and you go look at Walker on this side of the parish, if you want the bells and whistles, Denham is not your place right now. And
Right.
that's the mindset we've got to change. And, we got great people. We got great kids. We got great teachers. We got great admin, all the way from elementary schools all the way up. I think they deserve the best too. You want to be the best. Let's give these people the best and something to get that pride back into Denham Springs.
Right, and we have talked with baseball, softball, and track before you, and there are a couple of places within the, within the facility question mark that, really kind of confuse people when you tell them Denham Springs High School doesn't have a track. They think you're lying.
Yeah.
And there isn't one. There's an old track at North Park, and North Park has moved in more of a direction of recreational.
Definitely.
They've done a good job with a partnership with baseball and softball, but more of a recreational type family type area, it's not really a place where you compete athletically. And of course, they don't use that track anymore. You're liable to walk away with hip issues by
No
the
doubt.
time you're a senior. So, from we're going to talk about kids in a standpoint, but you brought up something that I think is important. So we're going to stay in the AD realm for a second. As a full school system, not having some of those facilities on campus, when people are moving here or people may even live here, it's a hot real estate market. It's actually quite easy to move right now.
Definitely.
So, you want to make sure that you show people, and I'm kind of asking this as a question, it's a statement question.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you are showing people that you're reinvesting in the community, in the facilities, correct?
Oh, I mean, no doubt. You want to offer. I mean, we're Denham Springs. I believe that. I feel that. I see it. I can see the heyday. I can feel it when you walk around that place. But it's time to update. It's time to get with the times, and it's time to give our community and our kids something to be so excited and prideful about. And you know what? The day and age is the bells and whistles. Sometimes you got to start there. I think we're well behind in the arms race. I mean, look at our formidable opponents and rivals and everybody else. I mean, it's time for us to put Denham Springs back on the map. I took this job because I do believe that we're sitting in a West Monroe-like situation. I mean, you're on the interstates. You got the big city. You got the great backing. You got people coming to this area. We want to be able to give back. We want people in our area. We want people to move to Denham Springs, and we want to instill that pride in them. And sometimes that just starts with something as simple as a beautiful stadium, a beautiful track, and the fact that we've never had baseball and softball on campus. I mean, we technically don't have a baseball and softball facility.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge,
Right.
and that's what we want to do. We want to be able to give back, and that's what we're excited about, and that's what we're excited about. Change is great. I love change. I love changing with times. I love changing with kids. I love the fact that I've been picked to help change this program back to what the so-called glory days, and to instill pride back in the way we play the game, the way we carry ourselves. And quite frankly, we're Denham Springs, and I think we need to be the best again.
So, you brought up something interesting. You're talking about change. It was a change for you to come to Livingston Parish, and it was a change for you to come down to Denham Springs. When we sat down with you here at the News when you were first hired, one of the questions we popped to you was, facilities. We know that you want to improve the facilities, and one of the things you said to us was, the administration had kind of told you, you're going to have to give us a little to show us that it's worth it. Y'all strung together, didn't have a bunch of W's, but strung together some great games at the end of the last football season. Soccer is doing excellent.
Definitely.
Baseball and softball are looking to come out right after having some trouble with COVID. Track and field, cross country, all improving. So would you say that it was one of those things where you went to those coaches and said, okay, we have to keep improving for these folks to buy in and give us some assistance?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, it's a championship growth mindset. If you're stuck where you are and you're stagnant, nothing good can come from that at this point. Like for our kids to grow, we have to grow.
Right.
For us to have something to us, success right now, especially speaking in the football program, if you came out and watched us, we had growth every week. We got great young men in the program that are working daily, that are giving Denham Springs things people don't see, and we need to reward them. And ultimately, that's going to turn into success because we have a growth mindset. I'm excited about every one of our athletic programs. There's no doubt that, we have change taking place, and that's necessary for the growth of Denham Springs High School. We can't get stuck in, one team is this team, one team is this team, one team is this team. No, we're Denham Springs,
Right.
and our standard is now elevated, and that comes with the ability to give back to the people that are supporting us and willing to give us the vote to get these new facilities. We're going to put a product out there that everybody is going to be proud of. When we go around the state, Denham Springs is going to mean something again, and that's where we have to get, and that's every one of us at a whole nother standard.
Sure. So talking about a standard, let's talk about the process of going through this for a second. Plans were produced, preliminary.
Yep.
At the Denham Springs Athletic Association. When school board member Cecil Harris came to you, we've heard from the first three coaches the same exact expression. What's your wish list? What is the dream crazy? And tell us what you want, and we'll figure it out from there. What was your crazy dream?
Well, I mean, I'm going to think big. Originally when we started this, we didn't talk about another weight room because our weight room we have now is good enough. But
Right.
is it? So of course I'm thinking big. We're thinking 2-story field house, new weight room, updated facilities with all the right storage we need to have all the right equipment. I'm not a huge big thinker. I'm more of a man. This is what we need to be successful.
Right.
Of course, like I said, the little change with 2 stories, just being able to have an upstairs area to look over all our complexes and to just have such a pride. And when you stand on that second level and see everything, and our kids competing, and our coaches grinding, and I think that's a pretty big
Sure.
want. I mean, you look at some of the schools like Zachary and everything that have that. I mean, you want to talk about being the best? Well, let's be the best. I mean, we have to model ourselves, and not necessarily model ourselves. We have to look at what the best have. There's a reason they're successful. Well, why don't we do that? And that's kind of my wish list. Is I went and looked at some of the best programs around. I went and looked at some of the best JUCOs in Mississippi to put together some ideas of what we want to do here. Because if you want to be the best, you know what? Let's do it. Let's build the best.
Sure. I mean, if that's interesting that you said that, going to look at those junior colleges, was that kind of a, you know, here's a step above high school. Here's
Yeah.
what they're doing. If we want to be the best, we need to model it after that.
Yeah, and it's actually Mr. Harris had a son start his college baseball career over at Mississippi Gulf Coast. So we had one of our big DSA members had gone over there to watch something and just came back raving about their facilities. So we started there. He and I rode over and checked it out because it is a step above. You want to be the best. Let's step above. Let's realistically, it still comes down to the dollar figure.
Sure.
But we're not going to sell ourselves short by just doing adequate or good enough.
Sure.
We want to set a standard. And I think everybody's on board and ready for Denham Springs to be the new standard again, because
Sure.
at one time we were.
So that's from an athletic director standpoint. From a football coach standpoint, so you get 3 levels today.
Yeah.
So from a football coaching standpoint, when you've already kind of brought it up. Live Oak and Walker elevated themselves
Yep.
to step up to the challenge. When you're thinking from your sports perspective, when you want to reach that next level, what are you thinking about specifically with regard to facilities?
Well, I tell you, I left a place with phenomenal facilities. People. It's funny. One of our board members, we went up and actually looked at the baseball softball complex that I was in on the ground floor with in building, and they were like, why did you leave here? Like, why would you leave this? Well, I want to build it at Denham Springs. It's Denham Springs, and that's how I always felt. And to be the guy that comes in here that they put all the trust in and they're willing to invest in. It's our job as the AD and as coaches to give back. And starting with the football program, it's a big time program. It has lacked success for a long time, and I'm hoping I'm the guy with the right staff to crack that code. But once again, it's instilling pride back in giving back to kids that deserve. This community deserves to be the best again, and that's why we want to start with facilities.
Right. And so, from a community standpoint, which is good, and as a football coach, you want, and this is another statement question, you want the facilities that are going to bring people out on Friday night and that they can feel proud of.
Absolutely. I mean, just think about an athlete that gives us all day in and day out, being able to walk into a facility that he was part of building. A part of many, many senior groups that have come and gone that have put this foundation in place for us to finally build upon. These kids are going to be rewarded with the opportunity to come in and be Denham Springs and work in these new facilities and elevate and continue to elevate our standard. That's going to turn into success because it's coming. I mean, it's coming. We are turning a very big ship.
Right.
And once we get it on course, it's going to go really, really fast. And I think everybody in place right now is starting to see the adequate and good enough mindset, or this is how we've always done it. It's time to go. It's time to grow from that and step out of that.
Sure. And, one of the interesting things that the last 3 coaches have also brought up is that, there are over a dozen actual schools within the district but they all stop at you.
Mm-hmm.
And, building new facilities and showing younger kids a goal, has been something they've all brought up. I know that at Denham Springs High, not only do you have freshman JV games and, of course, the varsity, but a lot of junior high play is
Definitely.
done there. So tell us a little bit about, again, from a football coach's standpoint, what it's like to be able to see those kids early, but also show them something that they can work toward.
Yeah. I mean, just like they play at our place, they go play at other places. They go play at Walker. They go play at Live Oak. They go play at Central. They go play at Zachary, and they see all these other places, and they come back to us, and they look around, and I can say that because I tell you what, I loved Live Oak when I was there, but I don't want to say you get comfortable, but you look around and you're always in that stadium, and it's a nice stadium.
Right.
I go back this year and I walk out into the stadium and the atmosphere and everything that we felt like we were part of creating. You look around, you go, some of the guys that came with me were kind of like, man, this is nicer than I remember. And then you go, well, that's because we're in an older spot, an older stadium, which I love, and I love the mystique of it. But people are coming in and going to see these places, and we're not them right now.
Yeah.
And we should be. And we should be bigger. We should be better. And that's, once again, a growth mindset that we've got to adopt here. It's okay. Like, we can take this place and elevate it and be so freaking good and so freaking special and generate that buzz and keep kids here, because kids are leaving for other places because of the bells and whistles.
Right.
And we want to keep that. We want to build that. And I think we're in position now to finally try to get this done. And honestly, you're going to see a huge reaping of the benefits when it gets completed.
Sure. And let's talk about the kids individually, just by themselves. So this could be from an AD and a football standpoint, also as a parent. You have kids who are in a school that has not had major sports infrastructure investment in almost 6 decades.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're turning around and showing them, we're reinvesting in this school. Even some of these kids that aren't going to get to experience that, it still gives a little bit of excitement, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely, because they're on the ground floor of it. I mean, they're a big part of it. They are, like, just take our guys, for instance. My big selling point right now is, we take care of our own locker room. We clean our own field house. And I tell them all the time, man, we got important people coming through here. Let's show them the pride that we have in just this older facility, and let's show them by keeping it clean and having a pride in that. So when they do decide, all right, you know what, these guys are worthy of these new bells and whistles, they're going to take care of it. They got a sense of pride that was once at Denham Springs that we're bringing back. You can tell even the older guys are excited about that, because they're going to be a part of it, and they're going to be able to come back and say, we were the group that got this done.
Right. We were the ones that put in that work.
Yeah, they got it done.
All right, right. So, from a functional standpoint, you already talked about a two-story, potentially, field house.
Yep.
What's going to happen with the football field, and are y'all still going to have maybe some practice area?
Yeah, we'll have some practice area. It'll be kind of where the track situation is now, the pits, the lanes, a couple of those over there. And, it'll be utilized by the band as a big band practice field, a freshman football practice field. The field is actually going to go away from the field house now, kind of back towards north side, turned a little bit different. We're going to flip the home and the visitor side and get our home side out of the sun. Kind of get the home field advantage back there. That is going to make our people very happy. We're going to have a track, of course, because once again, we feel like for all of our athletes to compete at a level, we need a track. And in the facility itself, more importantly than the new facility, I don't want to say the old facility, but we're going to come in and we're going to redo that building and have a visitor 9th grade locker room for football and other sports needed out of season. But we're also going to turn it into a boys and girls track and soccer complex, because we do feel like with the success of our soccer programs, with the growth of soccer, the success of our track programs, they deserve it as well.
Right.
And it's going to be a tough deal. If this happens, when we want to break ground and begin that process, and we're all going to have to make concessions, but in the end of the day, it's going to be really worth it. And we're going to have everything we've always wanted, and we're going to give back to all of our athletes that have paved the way for Denham Springs athletics. And that's our job, is to take care of our kids who take care of the DS.
Right. And it's important to note, and you just brought it up, but I kind of want to hammer the point home. You know, for a lot of people, there's and even parents of kids that play other sports. Well, they're just doing this to improve the football stadium, and that's not true.
Not at all.
You know, it goes so far beyond that, and you just brought it up. You know, especially soccer team, perennial playoff
Yeah.
contender. You know, track and field, constantly hearing from Andy, hey, we had these guys and girls doing great this week, this week, this week. You know, baseball and softball elevating their play, trying to bring all that back onto campus.
Yeah.
It's would you say that it goes so far beyond just rewarding these kids for success, but it's also trying to bring that sports atmosphere back to Denham Springs all together, everybody on campus?
Yeah, the excitement,
Right.
the excitement of everybody in our student body, and I hope our kids know, like, this is not about football. This all started because of course, Andy is he's a Spitfire now, and they had these crazy plans when I first got there that were just that. I mean, some crazy plans, but the mindset that I have is, why don't we just build this Taj Mahal and put it all together so all of our athletes can be together and compete together? Um, and it kind of took off from there. And to be able to get the north side property for softball, to be able to put the baseball field on campus, that negates a lot of the risk as well of kids having to travel off campus. And if you're not having to leave campus, you have a different sense of pride. I mean, you're on
Sure.
campus. I mean, you're excited to be Denham Springs because you're Denham Springs High and your home is Denham Springs High. And it's not North Park. As much as I appreciate everything they've always done forever, I've got a great relationship with those guys that I've just got to meet. But you know what? They have a job they've got to do as well for the rec situation. And you know what? It's time for us to part ways and become Denham Springs High and give back to these kids and instill that pride in who we are.
Right. And one door opens, another closes, or vice versa.
No doubt.
With their door, that would be North Park's door. With you closing, they get to focus more on that rec,
Exactly.
and probably trying to pull tournaments and things of that nature with those old
The growth of our youth,
right?
In ages that we can't touch that will one day be ours. There's things we're missing on. I see what's going on at the other complexes around, and I know what goes on in Watson. I know what goes on at this Broussard and Crowley and all the things they've built in these places. You know what? Maybe it's time to do that. I mean, you want the growth mindset to really overflow from what we're doing to everybody.
Sure. And North Park recently, you were talking about soccer earlier. There is a Baton Rouge Soccer Club. There's now a North Park or Rec 5 Soccer Club. So lots of growing things happening. And so I would imagine that it is your desire to see the school grow in a similar manner.
I want to be good at everything. I want everybody to compete at an extremely high level together. And it's like I told one of our teams the other day, I mean, success is very contagious. And it may just take one team. It doesn't matter what team it is. It may take one team to make a run deep in the playoffs or win a state championship to make everybody believe again and get that excitement for all of us to begin feeding off each other.
Right.
Because that's what it takes to be an athletic department. I mean, we're not one team versus another. Like some people want to make it out to be. That's not the case. We're Denham Springs. We're freaking Yellow Jackets, and we all got to compete at a level that we're trying to reset that bar so we can be special. And that mindset, I think, is starting to take over. And I think it's starting to take off and take over at Denham Springs, and people are starting to feel it and see it. And with time, it's just a matter of time before we explode.
Right. And I wanted to ask you something before, and man, it just slipped my mind. Because right before I'm gonna let you wrap up with kind of everybody's 2-minute elevator speech when somebody approaches you, it just struck me. You have to remember that Denham Springs High School is the second largest high school in the state, and you're competing. All the sports are competing in a division where it's large schools that are being able to pull from huge student bodies and huge talent pools.
Mm-hmm.
Performing, at a certain level, at the adequate level, may never be adequate. Would you agree with that statement?
Oh yeah. I like I like when you reset the bar at adequate, and then you reset it again at a higher standard, and then when you get to that point, you reset it again, and that you just continually grow. And that's what makes this profession so awesome, because you do it with kids and
Right.
you watch their growth from that freshman snot nosed kid to that young female or young male to that pretty much adult male and female when they graduate and they go off and they become so successful, and they're able to handle the ups and downs of life because of the adversity that have been instilled in them and the work ethic that has been instilled in them. And that's one thing that we've got to continue changing. Is I love how we've always done it at Denham, but let's be bigger and better.
Sure. So, from that standpoint, I have one more question
Yeah.
actually that just popped up before we get to your 90-second elevator speech. When you're talking about athletics, you were an athlete in high school and college,
Mhm.
and you played some pro ball.
Mhm.
I stopped at college. My body couldn't handle it. I'm so glad I did. But being an athlete helps later in life.
No doubt.
Improving these facilities, giving these kids something else to be proud of, do you think that would add to that helpfulness and that pride as they move forward?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, who doesn't like to come to work in the best facilities and the best place? Now, I love the junkyard dog feeling that we have now, the metal lockers and, the black rubber floor and the rusted up weights. I love that as much as anybody.
Right.
But how much better is it if we're the ones that get to build it?
Sure.
And
Sure.
that's something to be said. Like, and I always kind of said that at Live Oak, I didn't get to build the field house or the football stadium. I got to be a part of it. I mean, I got to coach at it, but I didn't get to build that. Denham Springs intrigued me because I felt like things were starting to align with the right people that had that bigger mindset and that growth mindset. And I feel like we get to freaking do something special here. That I get so excited talking about it because I really feel like there is something taking place here, and it's going to take all of us, the community, everybody uh, that's been at Denham, that's come and gone from Denham. It's going to take all of us to change this place and be better than it's ever been. And I can't wait to see what happens.
So, all that being said, parent walks up to you, maybe after spring practice or
Mhm.
something, right before the vote, and says, "Coach, I'm. Why should I vote for this? And it's a renewal. You're already paying it, but why should I vote to renew this? What's the purpose?"
Why would you not?
Well, I mean, I have no idea. I'm asking you as a.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I think, with all due respect, I'd probably hit him back with why would you not vote for this?
sure.
Like, I would be intrigued to hear the other side. Like, everybody talks about wanting the best for kids and our youth of today that's going to be the future of our community and our world. Why would we not want to give them the best? Why would we want to hinder them and make them keep coming to these old facilities and looking at everybody else going, man, they're just so much better than us. They got so much nicer things than we do. Why would we not want to give that to our community and kids? That sense of pride that Denham Springs once had.
Right.
Why would we not want to give that back to everybody involved here?
And I mean, in the end of the day, and I'll pull something Mark Carroll said, at the end of the day, it's about the kids, right? That's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So, Coach, we appreciate you joining
Yeah.
us this morning. Anything you'd like to say to wrap up?
No, look, I freaking love where we're going. I love what's taking place. One thing that I always tell my parents, and I hope every parent understands, our doors are always open. And I would love for y'all to come out and watch your kids compete and train and work, because I tell parents all the time, you'd be so surprised at what your kids do with us in the weight room and on the field. And these high school years go quick. Please, as parents, take advantage of it, because when it's gone, it's gone. And we got something special going on at Denham Springs, and you know what? The facilities are going to be a little bit of that icing on that cake, and it's gonna turn into success for our young adults, our young athletes, and ultimately our school. And the whole environment's changing. Everything has just got such a buzz, and I hope everybody can get a feel for that and be appreciative of what we have going on. As I am, I can't thank people enough for what we've done so far and where we're going. And I hope everybody gets the chance to experience this, because something special is taking place. And like I tell people, just hold the rope.
Denham Springs is growing. Again, sir, we appreciate you joining us. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you all joining us and listening today. We will be returning next week with board members Jan Benton and Cecil Harris to talk about their part to play in this. Please remember the news is on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays. That's $7 a month to get that in your mailbox. We're also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com. One last time, we appreciate you joining us, and we will see you next time.